Hi, everyone. I love it when people send me emails about questions that they have. And I got this one from Christopher. And he says, I'm reaching out because I was viewing your YouTube channel. And a question I have is that I was aware you reversed your autoimmune condition with the help of Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol. But then I saw a more recent video where you shared that your autoimmune disease had changed its presentation into one that was the same as your father's. So that is vitiligo. And my question is, why aren't you doing Dr. Goldner's protocol again? And why isn't it working again? I ask because I'm a musician with, and I hope I'm saying this right, Dupuytren's contracture in my hands. I have a lot of skin in this game of reversing this mysterious disease with nutrition. I'm also plant-based and have been for 7 years. I'm also using Dr. Goldner's hypernourishment protocol, which is, by the way, what I'm doing. After 9 months of smoothies, I haven't noticed any signs of remission or disease reversal. Rather, it has progressed. I'm a sincere person who would like to heal and preserve the function of my hands to be able to play and teach music for a lifetime. I'm having big doubts about Dr. Goldner's protocol, so I thought I would reach out to you about this issue. Thanks for your inspiration and work and your contribution to inspiring social media. So I responded. The short answer is I'm now dealing with the autoimmune, this is my third autoimmune condition. I don't like to say disease, but condition, hyperthyroidism. So that's an overactive thyroid, a little more unusual. Usually it's hypothyroidism that people get. And then when you see weight gain, for me, the big clue is I got a 10-pound weight loss in 3 weeks and I wasn't trying. And so what I say is, the truth is I had been off the protocol eating up to 3 chocolate mint Cliff Bars a day. I like to say I'm a recovering Cliff Bar addict. The chocolate mint bars were so good, but so bad. I mean, they would really leave me shaking. I thought, when I had the shakes that it was from diabetes, because that also runs in my family like crazy. And, but it was the hyperthyroidism. Anyway, I also went back to coffee. That was the other thing that was really bad for me. I think that was the trigger and have since returned to the protocol. My endocrinologist says he's never seen hyperthyroidism reverse so quickly. He said he wished all his patients were like me. I go back in another month or so and expect to get a second confirmation that I am in remission from that. The bottom line is it seems whenever I stop doing green smoothies and replace it with less quality foods, something rears its ugly head. And so Christopher writes back saying, I so appreciated that you took the time to reply to my email. I think your idea of doing a follow-up video is a great idea, which is what I'm going to do now. And I'd personally be interested to know more about your journey from autoimmunity to Dr. Brooke Goldner by way of Dr. Khan. I say that because so many plant-based doctors have achieved reversal of diseases with different protocols, from Dr. McDougall helping Ruth Heydrich beat cancer to Dr. Ornish and Dr. Esselstyn's work, Dr. Barnard's work, and Dr. Alan Goldhammer helping T. Colin Campbell resolve dioxin poisoning with fasting. It can get dizzying with all the different approaches and protocols. I think it would be interesting for people like me to learn whether you tried Dr. McDougall's starch-based diet for autoimmunity or water fasting with Dr. Goldhammer. Let me just answer those two things. Dr. Barnard and Dr. McDougall were my first 2 doctors that I started listening to. Really, Dr. Barnard, he came to St. Louis where I was a TV reporter, and I thought I was doing media consulting also at the time, and I contacted him to see if his staff needed media consulting, and we started a very long relationship that continues to this day in terms of the professional work that I have done both in media consulting and then teaching what was the Cancer Project classes and then became the Food for Life classes. So I am still an accredited instructor with that program, although I really don't teach those classes anymore. COVID really ended my speaking career, and that's when I transitioned to real estate. So but did I do Dr. McDougall's protocol, which was more complex carbohydrates? I mean, he and Dr. Barnard really had kind of the same protocols. And I've talked about this in other videos where I was doing 3 to 4 servings of beans a day, 4 or 5 servings of grains and whole grains. Again, not refined, but complex carbohydrates. So it takes longer for your digestive system to deal with foods that are in their natural states versus the refined carbohydrates and sugars. Then 4 to 5, maybe more servings of vegetables and 2 to 3 servings of fruit. So pretty simple. Again, foods in their natural states. When I started doing this, we didn't have all the processed foods. I mean, the most processed food we had was tofu. And it wasn't until I got diagnosed with my first autoimmune disease, which was psoriatic arthritis. And that was a real scary one. That was the scariest of all these, because what I read from that is I'd be lucky to be walking in a year, let alone be running. And all of that got pushed to the curb. So there are no more signs of psoriatic arthritis. And psoriasis starts at different places in the body. And what I'd like to say is that everybody's different. And you have to sometimes try these different protocols and see what works for you. Dr. Khan really, I have a high cardiac calcium score, as did Dr. McDougall. And he felt lucky, I think, to live as long as he did based on the fact that he had a stroke at a very young age. And he learned how to basically self-medicate with food. And Dr. Khan and I were paired up to write our book together. Well, I'd already written what I thought was going to be the book called Vegan Sex, and my publisher wanted to have a more medical component of that. So mine was the experiential, Dr. Khan's was the medical research science part of that. So I didn't really follow his protocol other than to, take into account that I had this high cardiac calcium score, and that could be problematic, although it doesn't seem to be. When I was at my endocrinologist, he did an ultrasound of my thyroid and looked at my carotid artery while I was in the neighborhood. He said, "I wish all my patients were like you. That's amazing that you seem to be really in great shape." And the fact that I can do all this running, of course, but what causes autoimmune diseases? Lots of different things. You have to check in with your doctor. For me, I think a big part of it was stress, and lots of different stressors in my life. And we all deal with stuff the best way we can, and sometimes your body takes over in ways that you don't even realize. You're going like, okay, I run, I meditate a little bit, so I'm not stressed. But sometimes you can fool yourself into those kinds of beliefs when in fact the stress is literally eating away. It can also be a genetic component. My dad's hands looked just like mine, and my face was like this. I don't have any makeup on right now, so I have been able to control that, I think, through diet, and there's some topical medication that works. I also do, this is again for the vitiligo, which is just a skin condition. You don't die from that, it just looks crazy. And I also do UV2, I think it is. It's UV lights from the dermatologist, so I go twice a week for those treatments, and it does seem to be helping. So I've had that for a good couple years, and it has calmed down. So getting off caffeine, I think, is huge. I've had a love-hate with coffee all my professional adult life. I used to drink 11 vending machine cups of it at the NBC affiliate in Miami, where I worked as a TV reporter. So that's basically, some of us have gone way to the extreme in our bad habits, and then correcting it with good habits. It's good and important to do, but sometimes we just need to really look at the things that we're doing and saying, is it worth it? Are those chocolate mint Clif Bars really worth it? And everybody's different. You have to check in with your doctor and get some baseline tests. There are a lot of functional medicine doctors now out there, and I've gone to a few of those. And quite frankly, after a couple of social media posts, somebody said to me, "Oh, I know the best endocrinologist in Sarasota," and it took a while to get into him, but I did. And he said, "You're doing a great job. Whatever it is you're doing, just keep up." I've never seen anybody reverse hyperthyroidism as fast as you did, and just keep it up. So that's the story. I really do have Dr. Barnard to thank for those original guidelines of how to eat a healthful, low-fat vegan diet, and it was low-fat. And again, now with hyperthyroidism, it's thought you should be eating seeds and nuts, not to the extreme, because that will put on weight. And some people can have hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism at the same time, which is I fortunately don't have, but I know some people who have that, and that's kind of, we are subjected to so many toxins through our water, and certainly as a television reporter, the kinds of stories I covered that we just didn't give a thought about because we wanted to tell the story and save lives and promote good causes at whatever expense. So we didn't get paid for hazard duty back in those days, and I think now some reporters do. Some news outlets will pay you to do those more extreme kinds of stories. So you just never know. Mercury amalgams, I had those removed when they first. I was always an early adopter of those kinds of things, and probably the mercury wasn't encapsulated the way it is now if people have that kind of a procedure done. But we also get mercury from power plants and seafood back in the days when I ate seafood. So before my vegan days, we thought fish was healthy. Now, not only mercury from the power plants, but also just the amount of pollutants that fish take in. So lots of reasons to stay healthfully vegan and follow whatever protocol works for you. I mean, like the green smoothies, I would like to go off of those at some point, but I watch Dr. Goldner's. She does a 3:30 for an hour every Wednesday. Just answers, does a whole Q&A. It's fabulous stuff. I just love her work. And she has, she's helped a lot of people reverse their autoimmune disease. So when I go back on that protocol, which is basically green smoothies all day long, or sometimes I like to say green smoothie before 6, and then I'll eat cooked food for dinner. You have to experiment. You have to be your own lab experiment sometimes to figure out what works best for you and carry on in the best way that you can. All right, I hope that has answered your question, Christopher, and helped others. And stay with the program. Check out Dr. Brooke Goldner's work if you have autoimmune conditions, because she has helped a lot of people, but she maybe can't help everybody. So you just have to try different things. And, Christopher's letter didn't say exactly what he was eating, and sometimes you just never know. Dr. Goldner's, her last video that she shared, she also shared that she still drinks a green smoothie every day and hasn't had a symptom for 20 some odd years. So good luck to you all. And if you have any questions, drop them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Gotta run.